Hey guys, 'tis I, go by the name of Brojita, the Prince of All Sayings, Mr. Matthew Porter, aka Clean Star Win, that outlaw star, giving you them outlaw bar, and the Pulitzer Prize winning interview that you're about to listen to was with none other than the amazing Tom Laflin. That's the same Tom Laflin that provides the English dubbed voice for the villainous, dastardly King Gomah from Dragon Ball Daima. Now, you're going to notice a couple different aesthetic, visual, and verbal differences because at the time of this recording, Dragon Ball Daima, the dub, had not been released in the States yet. So Tom was under an NDA. So we had to be very careful with the questions that we asked, which is why you won't get much Dragon Ball content in this interview specifically. And at the time, it was also before the Brothaship had blasted off when we were still in the trenches as Dragon Ball Faux Life. But enough from me. Enjoy the interview. Later, nerds.
Banging on the speakers, ayy. That shit feel nostalgic, ayy. Feel like I was Frank, ultra from the palette, ultra from the aura, ayy. Shine like ultraviolet, ayy. You should bag up from me, cause I tend to get violent.
We have your attention, please, and welcome to another episode of Dragon Ball Faux Life, where you come for the content, but you stay for the culture. And Trav, I forgot to put my phone on silent, so I apologize. It's been ringing. But then I said, no, wait, I'm professional. I always put my phone on silent. So what could that ring be? It must be a dragon call, which means that we have another brave challenger that has decided to answer the challenge. But before we introduce our monumental guest, you know who we be, the Fusion Dance Dons, aka the Mon Gods, aka Z Deadliest Backcourt in Z podcasting game. I go by the name of Brojita, the Prince of All Sayings, Mr. Matthew Porter, aka Matty Ice, here with my counterpart, the Oob to my Majin Buu, my Den Day One, going from the lookout to the cookout. I'm Mr. Troll Told Trav. Talk to the people, Trav.
You know who it is. It's the kid Troll Told Trav, and I say this with saying pride because Lord Beerus knows I've never been a cheater,
Ever.
And that's why I stay with one woman like Vegeta. And we are here today for another Dragon Call.
We are.
Mr. Porter, who has answered today's call?
Now, Trav and Trav and special guest who I don't want to hedge the lead. I'm not going to introduce you yet. Now, Trav, you wrote an amazing summary for our guest. And I was just like, you know what? I could just read this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that our guest has had no shortage of last name jokes and puns in his life. So I said, we're not going to take the low road. We're going to challenge ourselves, and we're going to give you an intro entirely based off your first name. I said, no, you know what? Those last name puns, they're not green enough. So, I just decided to cruise right by them. And some might say that was a bit petty, but I wanted to separate ourselves from the Brady bunch of last name puns to give our guest a hearty introduction. And if you haven't figured it out by now, our guest isn't just any old Tom, Dick, or Harry. No, he's the Tom, Dick, and Harry. He's King Tom. Our guest has provided the voice to some of your favorite nerds' favorite things, like Shangri-La Frontier, Attack on Titan, Tribe 9, one of my favorite guilty pleasure nerd things, Deathmatch. Oh, we're going to talk about that because I didn't realize you did that until after the fact. But most importantly for today, our guest has provided the magic behind the American dubbed version of the one, the only, the king himself, King Gomah in Dragon Ball Daima. Ladies and gentlemen, lifers of all ages, we have the one, the only, Mr. Tom Laflin. Snaps all around, sir. Bow.
Okay. It's really embarrassing. I opened a program while you were in the middle of that that suddenly grabbed my audio input and output, so I did not hear anything you just said.
It'll be there.
I can hear kind of. I heard you snapping and I hear you laughing, but I can't hear you speaking, and I have no idea what is going on.
Can you hear me now? Though?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
All right, that's something. I'm gonna rejoin real quick and hope that just fixes it. Apologies.
I got you. No, please drop
Hopefully
off.
we can use all of that and just
I'm pretty sure the intro still got.
Okay.
Are we back? Can you hear us? Can we hear us? You got us?
Okay.
Hey, let's go.
I'm not touching another thing on my computer. I have no idea what happened.
So, Tom, I'll just say that was the greatest introduction that you've ever gotten in your life.
I'll look forward to hearing it when the episode comes out.
Just to fill you in on it before you go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
As per the episode description that Trav so brilliantly wrote up.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like he gets all the laughing puns off of his last name. So I gave a whole intro devoted to the fact that your first name's Tom.
That's very clever. I do appreciate that.
I got you. I was like, we gonna be original here. We gonna play off the Tom instead of the Laflin. That's what we're gonna do.
We bounce off each other.
I don't know at what point in here you want to cut back in after that. But,
we gonna keep all of it.
Okay, then great. I'll just say thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Man, there's so many places where we can start doing our research on you. I just kept finding more and more things that you did that I liked, but we always say here in DB4L that the easiest place to start is the beginning. Were you a anime fan growing up? Like, were you into this medium? Was voice acting always on the table for you? How did you end up in this wonderful worldwide of nerddom?
Yeah. Well, as far as anime, I think I first started watching it in early high school. My high school had a twice a week kind of extra period in which all the extracurricular activities and clubs and things happened. And there was an anime club. It was actually It was called Otaku Club. So I showed up to that out of general interest. And so, they would slowly work through different series. They had 2 hour and a half-ish periods a week, so you could typically get through 3, maybe 4 episodes of something. So we were watching we watched Excel Saga, Noir, an old a B-Train anime, girls with guns kind of thing, with an animation budget of $3. A lot of stuff that was like pretty new and contemporary in the early 2000s. And so that's where I got my start. And I got very into anime later in high school, and then through college was like my heyday. I watched a lot of shows. It was back in the day. There was no Crunchyroll. There was very little ability to legally stream anything, and honestly, a lot of you didn't have internet that really supported it very well. You could watch your Naruto episodes cut into 3 9-minute pieces on YouTube at glorious 360p. It was kind of the
playlist for one episode.
Yeah, or you could there were fan subgroups that would grab raws of the new episodes and then subtitle them and get them out in less than legal fora, but they were around. And honestly, if you were a English-speaking anime fan at that time, that was some of the only access you had, unless they happened to show something on actual TV, on like Adult Swim or something, or if you wanted to import DVDs. It was very different compared to today. So I got into anime around then, and I would say I was properly into anime for like 10 years or so, roughly from like early high school out through a couple years past college. And I do still watch anime today, but there was definitely a time when I consumed a lot more of it. Like, every new season, I would look for some shows. I would look for old stuff as well. So it's been a significant part of my life. And I think part of it is maybe one day, if I have a group of friends who are really actively into it again, that kind of the passion feeds off of itself, so I'd probably be watching more if I had a lot of anime watching friends right now. So it's the kind of thing that comes and goes. As far as voice acting, I did kind of acting and drama stuff in school, but I didn't go to school for it. I didn't major in anything theater adjacent. And So it's just kind of something I've had on the back burner for a long time. Voice acting specifically started for me in 2008 with a Phoenix Wright fan musical that was being organized on courtrecords.net, which was the it sounds just like a government website, right? But it was actually the Ace Attorney fan forum, the biggest one back in the day. And so I took my absolutely terrible little headset mic and I was like, I can do that. Couldn't had never voice acted before, and more importantly, could not sing. But by gum, I tried. I tried my little heart out, and that just became kind of an amateur on again, off again thing I would do. Voice acting back in the day also looked kind of different. If you were not already a professional, if you were just, a college kid looking to get into it somehow, mainly you were looking at places like Voice Acting Alliance that had forums, and most of the available work, such as it was, were very very ambitious, very unreliable people who would show up and be like, all right guys, I'm organizing a 26 episode fan dub of my favorite anime, let's go. No, I've never organized a project. No, I've never edited video. No, I don't know how to direct. This is happening.
No, I can't pay you.
Yeah, no, I can't. Well, that was just, you just assumed that.
Prerequisite.
Right? Like, there was no paying money for this. Insane. Not even in the
passion project.
Passion project. No, yeah. So
he didn't give you water.
It was funny because it was so, like, there was such easy access to work because the bar was on the floor. Mm-hmm. But also 90% of the things you might ever audition for were never going to produce anything, which gets dispiriting after a while, as you might imagine. But, that doesn't hurt so much when you're a kid with stars in your eyes and you're like, this is a cool thing I want to do, and I don't care if only 7 people see it. I want to try voicing some character in some show or some AMV or whatever. And so it was just a thing I did on again, off again for many years. Just every now and then I'd be like, yeah, the sting of failure is behind me far enough now. I can try another one. I can have my heart ripped out by getting cast in something that never happens one more time. Let's go. And eventually I just auditioned for a random web comic dub that shockingly actually happened. Wow. The group of people who, the guy who produced that, and then several of the other people who got cast in it originally back in, this would have been around 2012, 2013, basically went on to become my main online friend circle that I'm still part of now. And
networking, baby.
Yeah. And because he was the first guy who had actually produced something off of Voice Acting Alliance, possibly ever, but certainly in my experience, I just did his stuff for 10 years. I was just like, yeah, if you want me to voice in something, I'll do it. And that largely wasn't paid either, but it was a lot of fun. And that pretty much brings us to close to the present, 2020. I decided, I've been doing what I've been doing for my whole life out of college. I feel like trying something else. There's other things I want on my career bucket list. And one of them is, I wonder if I can actually succeed in a professional capacity in this industry. Do I have what it takes, both in terms of, skill, but also just, dedication? How much do I want this? I wasn't really sure. So I wanted to give it a shot. Said, I'll give it a couple years at least and give it a fair shake and see if I get anywhere and if I'm enjoying it and if I can make any money off of it. All important questions. And the answer to that is so far, I enjoy it well enough. I'm doing okay, and I'm making a non-zero amount of money off of it. So for now, the experiment continues.
Yeah, non-zero.
Did your approach change at all when you were like, all right, I'm gonna lock in these next few years, see if I can turn this into a professional career, versus when you're doing it more so from a passion project off and on and hoping, one of those projects was going to get picked up? So how was your approach differently during those few years?
Very, very much so. 'Cause yeah, I did a bit of research before leaping straight in, and I talked to some friends and friends of friends who were in or at least closer to the industry to just, kind of have frank discussions about like, hey, this is something I'm considering. I think these are roughly my goals. Like, this is sort of what I have in mind. What should I know that I probably don't know? Where should I even start? Because it can be very hard to figure out where to start. There's actually some pretty good resources for it now that might have existed then, but I didn't know about them. Kira Buckland has a really good online, like, if you're starting from scratch, start here, and this explains how to do stuff. And D. Bradley Baker has a similar thing. But I didn't know about that, so I just kind of did whatever I could, and mostly that was I got back into auditioning regularly, starting out mostly on Casting Call Club in 2020, and still auditioning mostly for unpaid things, like dubs of webcomics, fan dubs of animation, anime, whatever, audio dramas, stuff that has a fairly low barrier to entry, especially if it's not paying money. And taking classes, lots and lots of classes. I started with some kind of general multi-week foundational ones, and then started looking around at different places because there's a ton that offer them. There's lots of people you can learn from, not for free, if you want good instruction, but I sort of decided it doesn't make sense to not invest in this. You can't refuse to spend any time or money and expect to get something out of it. So I invested both. I took a lot of classes. I still do, because frankly, taking classes is one of the only things. It's like one of the best things you can affirmatively make happen. If you're not booking anything, you're not working. You can always just try to improve yourself in other ways, and so that you still feel like you're doing something with the time in that career. So, yeah. No, I just tried to get really serious about practicing and getting educated. And I think in 2020, I probably, I auditioned for many, many things, hundreds of projects, I'm sure, while still working at the job that I had previously been holding, because that was, it was COVID year. So I was like, I don't think I want to quit right now because I don't know what all's going to happen.
Might not be a good time.
Yeah. So
Right.
No, 2020 was going to be the year, and then that shit happened, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to try and do both for now. But over the course of 2020, I did a ton of auditions. I think I probably made like $100 the whole year off of maybe 2 or 3 things that paid anything, because that's where you start. But every year has had some kind of growth. It's not a purely linear progression, but I got more actual paid work in 2021. 2021 is also when I did my first ADR, remote from home, because things were still locked down. I moved to Dallas in August of 2021.
The mecca of nerd things.
Yeah. And several years later, now I'm working fairly regularly-ish.
Don't be modest here. That's not this type of podcast. You've had a bang-up year, 2023, 2024.
It's been a good last year, for sure. But it does have ups and downs. I as recently as, was that second half of 2023, maybe? I had like a 6-month period of just like, well, no one wants me to do anything for them, I guess. And I expect to have more of those going forward. I'm riding high right now. It's great working on shows at Crunchyroll. This is the first time I've ever had 2 recurring roles at the same time. So right now I'm going into the studio once a week to do both of those typically. And that's great. I think the thing that's most shifted about my approach is just mindset of there's always a next thing, and it's very easy to focus on what's the next thing I want. And it can be hard to balance that against just trying to be happy with what you've already gotten. I think the best new idea that's been put into my head recently, and it was after I had booked Dragon Ball Daima, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I wish it like, and the feeling of how awesome it was lasted for a little bit, but not as long as I would have wanted before I was like, all right, but what's the next thing? And and someone was like, yeah, you know, every new thing is always just like one more little step, and so it can be hard to get and stay excited about it instead of just thinking about, well, what's the next one little step. But the advice that was given me to me was to really focus more on what would like you of 5 years ago think about what you've accomplished, what you're accomplishing right now. And it has been just over 5 years now, because we're here in 2025. So no, yeah, I mean, if I went and told me at the start of 2020 where I could be in 5 years with the investment and the persistence, I would have been kind of gobsmacked by that. It really is a miraculous thing, and I'm very thankful for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you would have been like, damn, future Tom, you out here fucking shit up.
Yeah, no, I would have been like, wow, seriously? I thought that would take a lot longer than that.
Right. How do you, I'm curious, on the point of, there's going to be periods where you have like, all right, not getting that call. So is there ever a feeling of like anxiousness, or like, especially to, you know, landing a role within Dragon Ball Daima and like having these sort of like experiences now? How do you think that next lull period is going to feel for you in terms of just what you've experienced now, from the roles you've landed to just the progression that you're looking to make? Like you said, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And what if that next thing is a lull period?
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the next thing, but it's going to happen for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, to some extent, just through random chance. You know, if you keep throwing darts at a dartboard, sometimes you'll hit a couple in a row, and sometimes you'll miss a couple in a row. So it's not always like on, off. It's very peaks and valleys kind of thing. But also because, you know, if you voice in a bunch of things for the same client right back to back, every time they keep booking you, probably, you know, someone somewhere is like, we should probably get someone else at some point, because like I feel like this person is becoming kind of overexposed. And so if I actually did keep, you know, booking more stuff at Crunchyroll, I'm sure at a certain point someone would be like, all right, nope, get Tom Laflin out of the seasonal anime for at least like 6 months. No one wants to hear this guy anymore.
I've heard his voice enough.
But
let some young up and comers get a spot, Tom.
Yeah, right.
Give him a bite,
right?
But that, yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen, and I want to say that, you know, having been up and down a couple times, it would be easier the next time I'm down. It probably won't be, honestly. I think, you know, it's easy to keep the mindset at first, but you know, with every passing day that goes and you don't book anything, you're auditioning and you're not hearing anything back, it's pretty hard to not let that erode your confidence a little.
Right.
Of, you know, not all the way as far as like, oh, I'm bad at this and I've always been bad at this and I never deserved anything, you know, not that far, but you know, it's a more realistic worry of like, maybe I'm just, you know, I was in demand and now I'm not, and I have no control over whether I'm going to be in demand again or not, because it's just what people want. And maybe, you know, are trends carrying people away from me? Does no one want the kind of voice print I have or the kinds of reads I'm delivering right now? And usually the answer is no, it's just luck. Sometimes you happen to audition for the right things and sometimes you don't. But it doesn't become very easy. Usually my response has been, like I said, if I don't book for a while, to just try and refocus more energy into stuff that I have control over. Usually that's what gets me to start really stepping up the number of classes I'm taking again. Is like, if I can't be working for money, I need to be working with people and getting feedback at least, and getting new ideas. Because maybe if I'm stuck in a rut, maybe it is something that I'm doing wrong. Maybe I need someone to give me new input that's going to change how I'm doing stuff, because what I'm doing right now isn't working very well. And it just lets you feel like you have some control over your success, even though at the end of the day, you're at the mercy of who wants to book you. You can choose to do stuff on your own initiative, or you can wait for the phone to ring, and it's a little easier to feel better about yourself if you are choosing to do stuff.
For sure.
Absolutely. And I, I love everything you just said. And you mentioned the class thing twice. And I do want to piggyback off of Trav's first question, because it's so easy. I feel like when people have quote unquote made it or get that first taste of making it, that, you know, committing to perfecting the craft kind of goes out the window. They're like, oh, I did the work to get the jobs. Now I just show up to work. And you've said so many things here that me and Trav have talked about on mic and off mic, just, you know, being ready for the next thing. When you check off a box, like, all right, what's next? Because you know what the end goal is. By hearing you speak and reading your bio on your website, you strike me as someone who actually is like an aficionado or an appreciator of like the craft of performing, like actually like putting in the work, doing the learning, craft, like perfecting your craft, and like actually doing like the performing part behind performing arts. Like a lot of people with podcasting feel like you just hit a mic, hit record, and just talk. But like there is an extreme element of showmanship and performance and synergy that goes to like make these things cohesive. Can you speak to me, like, what is it mentally that keeps you moving forward? Like, tries to, like, when you have like those low periods, or like when you're like, hey, I'm not doing anything, let me just keep working, let me do some classes, let me do some workshops, so that way when that phone does ring, what was it that maybe happened, or something that you had instilled with you young that like drives you to like chase after your passion of the arts as opposed to just the job?
Yeah. Well, in terms of like performance, I think where I come from is I like telling stories. That seems to be a common thread for me beyond just voice acting specifically. Like I did some stage acting and stuff and improv in the past, and yeah, I run like Dungeons and Dragons games.
Hey.
I am aspiring. I haven't really put fully into action yet, but I have some pots boiling in the realms of like writing, game design, other kinds of stuff. And I think the common thread is just, is I'm a storyteller at heart, and I want to be doing that. And acting is just one way that I can kind of fulfill that need for myself. And connecting it to like the actual craft, for me, I think it's like, I kind of just want to play. That's my natural instinct. And there's a couple specific kinds of play in terms of like acting that come very naturally to me and that are a lot of fun for me. I can so easily slip into having fun in the comic relief or the villain sphere. Those are like two of my go-tos, and those are things that I tend to book more, especially in anime. You know, and anything where I can be like really crazy over the top in human performance, instead of the more kind of very, you know, grounded and naturalistic stuff. And so for me, if I just get out there and start horsing around, I always have a good time. And so the question is really just, how do I channel that in a direction that's useful? Because I think when I hadn't trained as much as an actor, it was just as fun. It wasn't as good because I wasn't making informed choices always. I would just do what seemed fun to me in the role. And so I still had a great time, but you know, you can only get so far as conveying like nuance in if you're not really putting thought into it and properly training. You know, it's like banging on a drum set when you haven't really learned how to play the drums. Like it's a great, noise. It's fun. It's like you can be like, oh, look how loud this is. Like, and that's great. But you know, it kind of only carries meaning if you start doing it with more intention. If you know when to drum quiet, so that when you're drumming loud, it's like noticeable that you're doing something. And it's kind of the same for acting. I think my journey has heavily been figuring out when to play and in what directions, so that it's still fun for me at the core of it, but the result that I'm producing is more effective as a storytelling tool. And I think there was kind of a sort of second half to the question here, which was sort of about like keeping the motivation and the desire to keep improving and keep moving forward. And I think I could probably cast my mind back and try and come up with formative childhood experiences, but I think really it's more about in my adult life. So in my previous career, I was a software engineer. That's what I went to school for, and that's what I did from 2011 through 2021, basically.
Okay.
And that work was very interesting and challenging and fulfilling. Like, it was obviously fulfilling enough that I was able to do it for 10 years.
Yeah.
But around, I think it was around 2017, my original goal out of college was like, I want to work in games, but I don't have an offer ready for me. There's nowhere I can work right out of college for that. So I'll go and do something like boring, but that pays well and that I can use to learn. And so I went and I was working at Microsoft initially, and I was like, the plan was like, I'll work here for a couple of years. You just get that on the resume, it'll be nice, and then I'm gonna go and do game stuff. And there kept kind of being little interstitial additional goals, like, oh, well, if I stay one more year, I'm probably gonna get promoted, and that'll look better on my resume, so I'll wait for that. And things kind of fed back into the next thing, and there kept being like a next thing I wanted to do there. And then around 2017, I was like, I kind of had I got a real bad hit of like anxiety and depression around there that I eventually figured out was because I had sort of stopped acting with any long-term goal in mind. Like circumstances had made it so that I hadn't made the jump into doing anything game related, and I had no immediate plans that were working on getting me there. And I was kind of just treading water. Like, everything was fine, but I wasn't going anywhere with intention in my life. And so that kind of changed how I approached my career from that moment on, because that really snuck up on me. Like, it hit me really hard emotionally, and it, like, just because I hadn't been aware of it, I hadn't felt that pressure building until it just boiled over, and I was in a real bad way for several months over that. And so ever since then, I try and be very deliberate and intentional about setting longer term life and career goals for myself that I can like measure and understand whether I'm making progress toward them or not. And if I'm not, what can I change to make it so that I am? And when I don't bother doing that is when I get into trouble. And so pretty much for the rest of my life, I want to keep doing that. And I'm lucky that having done all that rather boring but very well-paying work means now I have a lot of freedom to try other things. I've been able to try voice acting and not have to be an overnight financial success, which for the record, no one ever is. So that's great. But it means that now whatever I'm doing, whether it's voice acting or if 5 years from now I'm like, all right, well, that's done and dusted, let's go become an architect or something. I don't know. Anything I might do from now on, I think I really need to know what am I trying to do in the long term, and how does that correspond to my short and medium term decisions that I'm making. And so if my goal right now is achieve such a certain level of success in this industry, I have to know what I am doing at any given moment that is trying to bring me closer to that goal. And if the answer is not really anything, that's a problem, because that might lead me down the same road I was going before. And I don't want to suddenly wake up one day and freak out because I haven't booked anything in 6 months. I haven't done any classes. And suddenly I'm questioning every decision I've made in the past 18 months if I've gotten into this state, So, yeah, it's pretty much, it's pretty much just not wanting to feel like shit again.
Did you feel like you were in like autopilot mode, like given like where you were working and probably like the money that you were making? Because
I mean, it was nice. I enjoyed the people that I worked with. There was nothing wrong with it. It had lost any connection to a greater design for what I wanted to do in my limited time on this earth.
Just sustaining.
Yes.
I got you. I got that for sure. Hey, Tom, like I know we're here for specific things, but like so much of what you're saying is like just hitting me in my spirit. like this will turn into a spiritual podcast.
Welcome to my self-help talk.
Really. No, I love it, bro. And
we're actually in therapy right now.
Yeah, I'll speak for the both of us because again, these are like conversations that I had that we have, you know, not in a public forum. But I just had seen an interview like recently that Bob Dylan was like talking about self-prophecies, and he was essentially saying that there are like very specific people in the world who have just this innate thing that they want to like give out more into the universe than like what their current circumstances are. So just if you've ever read The Great Gatsby, he's one of like my favorite like fake characters, Jay Gatsby, and essentially, you know, his whole thing was like he was born poor and he was just like, yeah, nah, these ain't my parents, I'm not broke, I'm supposed to be rich and fantastic, and made that life. So I guess with like self-prophecies, things that you're saying just about like, you know, having that stable job, doing it for 10 years, not feeling fulfilled, not being what you wanted to like put back out into like give your energy to it's resonating a lot with me. And these are powerful things, because I feel like there's a lot of people who struggle with this, who like have like comfy jobs or comfy lives that just aren't fulfilled, and they don't know, and they think they're the problem. Like they're like, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't I
feel fulfilled? This should
exactly
be great.
Like I should be screaming to the mountaintops of how happy I am right now.
Yeah. Like,
so
would be happy to be in my position.
So I definitely I applaud you for betting on yourself, you know, being able to walk away from a job that you've been doing that was well paying, like you said, to chase like a passion, and then B, like being self-aware enough to know that like, yeah, this is cool and this might be someone else's dream, but it's not mine. Like, no disrespect to this dream, it's cool, like pays my bills, like, but it's not my dream. But I feel like these are extremely important messages. And before we get into like the fun stuff, I just wanted to take that moment to praise you for your life choices, sir, and thank you for giving us this conversation, because these are things that I feel like people just have internal thoughts of all the time, but maybe might not know how to communicate it out loud.
Yeah.
So if this can be that template for people to, you know, bet on themselves. I'm not telling anyone to quit their jobs right now. like PSA, like have a plan. Tom had a plan.
Ideally, have a lot of money.
Yeah, if possible, save up, have your little nest egg, and, you know, chase them dreams, baby. Chase them dreams. But your hard work and perseverance paid off, because you've made it into the world of Dragon Ball. And I don't know if you know this, but you are officially on the Dragon Ball wiki page, which is like,
I took a look after you mentioned that.
Did you see?
I did. They have my birthplace as Seattle, Washington, which is not correct, but it's okay.
Oh no!
They're working off of very limited information, so you know what? It's understandable.
They say he looks like he likes grunge music.
No,
Let's just say he's from Seattle.
I do like my sweaters and
flannel sweaters
and flannel shirts. So you know what? Easy mistake to make. Easy.
Yeah. They say he looks like he smells like Teen Spirit. He looks like that. Just say he's from Seattle. I love that. But I know that like anime was like a thing that's like kind of a fleeting thing. It's in and out, and it's in now. But I'm kind of happy that you didn't know about it before. What's that like surrealness like? Like, it's like Dragon Ball, like whether you're a casual anime fan, a hardcore anime fan, is global, it's universal. Like the aliens watch it. Like this is something that we all do. So it's just like, now that you're like officially like ingrained in the canon lore, not even GT, like you part of the main canon storyline.
Not
like
even what, Matt?
Like I know, right? I know we just were talking about, you know, like being ready for the next thing, but like seeing you up on the Dragon Ball wiki page, like were you able to like receive that information? Like, oh shit, this is crazy.
No, yeah, it made an impact for sure. I mean, Dragon Ball's one of the biggest and most storied franchises in media, certainly in anime.
Mm-hmm.
And so you almost couldn't pick a better one if what you cared about first and foremost was just like notoriety. Then yeah, I don't know if there's a better one to pick. In terms of, you know, it's just the staying power.
Yeah,
there have been so many shows that have had, you know, had just been like totally riding high and absolutely like captured the zeitgeist, if you will.
Great word.
But usually they don't last 4 or 5 decades, and Dragon Ball has somehow still is going along, still making new stuff. Everyone still loves the old stuff. It's it's a really big thing, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
I'm happy you were able to like have that moment again. Just collecting, just nerd check boxes on the bingo card, like, which is awesome. But I do want to harken back to the business really quick for you, Tom, because again, hearing you talk, doing my research on you, a shrewd businessman is a term that I would use to describe you, because you're about your brand, and there were a couple of things on your website that I've never seen before, and it just blew my mind. And I want to know, like, if someone gave you these golden nuggets of information, or if it's something you came up with, because it's genius. So as someone who, you know, uses their vocal talents for their work, you actually put in like a recording of like what your sound studio sounds like. And I thought that was the smartest shit that I have ever seen in my life. Because it's like, you obviously have people who like put their sizzle reel up and things of that nature and like their accolades, but like you put in real time, like, hey, potential employer or collaborators, this is what my setup sounds like. And just brilliant. And again, was that a tip that you just picked up in your travels? Was that something that you just came up with yourself? Because like I said, I would recommend to anybody who works in the audio space that y'all do that now.
I'm struggling to remember whether it was a specific person or a specific person's website that gave me that idea, or whether it was just the logical conclusion of there's a lot of clients, mainly commercial. Commercial's like the one sort of genre of VO that is actually almost still entirely remote. They heavily use Source Connect Standard for recording those, and so for those kinds of potential clients, you know, if my goal with my website is to make it so that if someone finds me and is like, is this a person worth remembering for a thing I might do in the future? If they're the kind of client who is doing all remote stuff, you can have a great commercial reel or whatever, and you know that's enough for them to know, like, okay, I can see how I could use their voice. But also, you know, it's important, I think, to communicate that yes, I have a home studio. Yes, it is broadcast quality. Yes, I have Source Connect. I know how to use it. All of these things that are also preconditions if you want to have a relatively convenient time hiring someone to do remote recording. So maybe I came up with the idea myself. Maybe I added
we're gonna say you came up with it.
But probably more likely, when I was deciding how I wanted to structure my site and what to put on it, I looked at a lot of different voice actors' websites and what I liked about them and what I didn't, and what were the common things like almost everyone had, and what were interesting little inclusions that only a few people bothered with, and how do they present information? How do they organize it? And so I kind of synthesized my website out of all of that. My best effort at these are the things I like and none of the things that I don't like. And so probably there were some number of other voice actors who did have something similar on their website. And I was like, oh yeah, people, that's going to be important to have. There's, you know, I should put that on there along with, if I'm going to bother advertising that I do remote specifically, because not everyone does. Most people do now, but for people who live in LA, say, it's probably a lot less important because most of the time they'll be going into a studio anyway. But right. If I'm trying to brand myself as, yeah, I'm out here in Dallas, I'm not in Los Angeles, but you can still use me, please, don't click away. Like, it seems like an important thing.
No, that and again, just the it's such a minute detail, but it like has such a massive impact on just like, you know, right. Just like who would pick you for a job. It's just like, yeah, like you can send us your sizzle reel of like what the, you know, the edited and polished version of you sounds like, but yeah, actually sending your actual setup is brilliant. I promise I'm going to stop gushing about your website soon, but it's just one more thing I wanted to pick your brain about. And Trav, correct me if I'm wrong. So we also had the privilege of interviewing OG Banks. He's been doing this for years and years and years and years and years. And we had touched on a topic with him, just the importance of his synergy with his agent. So he said that he's had the same agent for pretty much his full run, and him being a vet in the game. I find you to be in a very unique circumstance that I would love to pick your brain about, as someone who's newer to voice acting, who's been getting a lot of big jobs at a very high clip, especially in the past 2 years. For somebody who's up and coming and looking to get their start, could you kind of explain the importance of what a good agent or having a good relationship with an agent is for someone who's newer versus somebody who's been with someone for like 30 years?
Yeah. So my experience is still relatively limited. I signed with my Los Angeles agency AB2 last April, I believe. So it's less than a year still. We're coming up to the anniversary. And I think for me, that one experience has been that's been pretty much the only source for decent commercial work. Auditions, I should say, not necessarily work. Work implies booking something. I don't know a lot of that. But the auditions, yes. It's compared to character work, where there's a lot of tiers from, unpaid fan dub all the way up through, massive star making, huge paying, I don't know, Netflix role or whatever. There's a lot of tiers along there that you can work your way up through independent sources. You can find a lot of character work on websites, Twitter, Blue Sky. There's lots of places you can find people looking to make projects. There's a lot less of that for commercial for them, because, who is going to make an unpaid commercial? Like, if they don't have like a company and money, what are they doing? Like, what are they advertising? So like, for the most part, commercial, you go from nothing to professionally competitive. There's a little bit of like, yeah, maybe you can find something on local radio. You can cold call places and do minor stuff for them, and that's a little less competitive, a little easier to get. But other than that, if you're looking for commercial work, it's you're only going to find it on like pay to play sites like voices.com. And often not for very good rates, for rates that are far, far below what any commercial you're ever going to see through an agent will pay. And they're less competitive accordingly, so you can maybe book some there. The only commercial work I've booked has been on those sites. But right now, if you want to have any access to commercial jobs that are offering, thousands of dollars to be the voice of X brand for a campaign, I don't really know how you would get that work without an agent. Certainly, if I'm addressing this to a new voice actor, not someone who has industry connections to fall back on, that's the main thing that I get. And because it's a Los Angeles agency, I do also get some animation and some video games, but commercial's the bulk of it. And I'm grateful to have that, because that is also where the bulk of the money is.
There we go.
It's certainly not in dubbing, I can tell you that.
Listen, you got to pay the bill somehow too, right?
I think it's also worth saying as like a corollary to that, though. If you're still a fairly new voice actor, I think a lot of people fixate too much on trying to get an agent and be like, well, I'm not getting any auditions right now, but once I get an agent, I'll have all the auditions.
Game changer.
Yeah. And that really has not been consistent with my experience, and I don't think that's consistent with really anyone's experience. Basically, agents are only going to be interested in you if you are already... booking ideally, but at least if you are working, if you are auditioning, if you are hustling to try and get work on your own. If you're not doing that, why should an agent do that work for you?
Exactly.
What are you offering them? You're gonna try nothing and do nothing other than what they make maximally easy for you? No, they can easily find someone who's willing to try harder than that. So yeah, it's really much more important to focus on getting yourself to a level where you're competitive and putting in all the frankly, not very sexy legwork of finding sources of work on your own initiative. And once you are already doing pretty well that way, it is nice if you're able to get an agency representation on top of that, because they will bring you work you can't get any other way. But, you know, I get probably 8 to 10 auditions a week from my agent, which is great. But, you know, if I wasn't trying to book work any other way, I wouldn't be booking anything ever. Right. So, like, you can't just sit around waiting for it. And having an agent doesn't change that.
Yeah, you still got to put in the legwork on your end as well. It's not just like sit around like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. But, you got anything for me? Like, bro, you've never booked anything.
Yeah. What is it would you say you do around here?
Right. What are your strengths?
Now, whether it's through your agency or yourself, is there a franchise out there? It doesn't have to be anime. It could be anything that you would love to voice for that you just haven't had the opportunity to do so yet.
I think for me, the dream role would be some, you know, lead or lead level role in a major video game, ideally some kind of RPG. I'm a big fan of the RPG genre. I love me a big sprawling dialogue tree. And so getting to voice, you know, like a protagonist or a party member in, you know, some kind of Western RPG, a BioWare-esque thing, or like a JRPG, you know, Final Fantasy 19 or whatever when we get there, maybe. Just having the opportunity to audition for something like that I'd already be kicking my heels together. That's probably a long way off for me, to be honest, and maybe never if I don't move to LA. I haven't really broken into that sphere of the industry yet, and gotten a sense for myself of how local bound it really is, because I hear different things. Some people say that's not a problem at all, and some people say you're dead in the water if you're not in LA. And so I don't know if it's even possible from my current position, but yeah, those would be my dream projects. I think I really like games as a form of storytelling, and so story heavy games are really my mecca. And getting to have a major role in something like that, you know, like the dream experience for me would be like how everyone on the internet was thirsting over Astarion for like 6 months after Baldur's Gate 3 came. That level of like, wow. Everyone's talking about this one performance from this one big new RPG, and everyone's posting clips of this guy doing different funny things and like saying what an amazing read on this line. That would be the career making moment for me. That would be like, all right, well, there's nowhere to go from here but down, so I might as well retire.
That'd be awesome if in the future I'm like playing Dragon Age or something. I'm like, ooh.
Is that Tom Laflin?
Let me turn this up real quick.
Look, manifesting it right now. Calling my shot. Red Dead Redemption 3. Tom Laflin, match made in heaven.
What's the plan, Dutch?
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Put it out there.
Putting it out there in the hemispheres. But Tom, we could literally talk to you all day, and we always say here in DB4L that once you come on, once you are a forever repeat guest. So I know there's a lot about Diamond we couldn't talk about. So once like the English dubs out, we would love to bring you back and talk to you. But I could not let you leave today without talking about your Twitter macaroni reviews.
I had a feeling this was going.
Real stuff, man.
What the people?
All right, yeah. Forget all the rest of this.
Really want.
This is what the people really are here for.
Just skip to this part.
You don't know chapter time codes except this one. This is skip to here for the macaroni and cheese.
The main event. So I know we took a bit of a break. How did this get started, and what needs to happen to bring it back?
Was this during a lull period?
God, how did this get started? Okay, no, I remember now. So this was this was either like late 2020 or early 2021, I think, when I started doing this. And so part of it was definitely like, it's pandemic times. I'm going insane. I need to do some random thing. I need something else in my life. it was probably partly inspired by seeing, it was probably ProZD doing his like, I'll try every Hot Pocket and tell you which ones are good, or I'll try everything at Panda Express and tell you. It's probably inspired by that genre of video also.
Yeah.
But I think what made me actually do it was that there was a generic store brand of macaroni and cheese that I thought was great and had been getting for like years. And they changed manufacturers, so they changed like recipes, and suddenly it was bad. It was like way worse than before, and I was so stung by that betrayal. I was like, well, I have to try other brands now to find my new home, because I'm not going to keep buying this. I don't like it. So if I'm going to do that, why not harvest it for content, TM? And so, yeah, I just randomly got on Twitter one day and I was like, what's up, everyone? It's Mac and Cheese Monday. You know what that means. As if this was something I'd been doing for like years and everyone should be instantly familiar with.
Like, what? You don't know about Mac and Cheese Monday?
Have you been missing out on Mac and Cheese Monday?
Like, what do you do on Mondays?
So yeah, just weekly-ish, every Monday, I would try a different brand of boxed mac and cheese and give my thoughts on it with, I got slightly elaborate with it. Like I started like, here's the box, and now like, here's what it looks like in the pot as I'm cooking it, and now here's what it looks like in the bowl as I'm about to eat it. And I'd go kind of step by step. I'd like make fun of anything on the box if there was something I thought was funny about it. Like there was one brand that tells you to boil like 6 quarts of water or some insane amount that no one would ever boil. I was like,
1 pack.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to be here till Christmas getting that to boil if I want to eat this. So like stuff like that sometimes I would poke fun at, but mainly I would just try and give in a single post, so in 288 characters, a description of the flavor and like what I liked about it and what I didn't. And they got pretty flowery at times. I think I remember I opened one and was like, it's bad, gang. But I can't just leave it at that. When Woodward and Bernstein broke the Watergate scandal, they didn't just write a newspaper article saying Richard Nixon is bad. No, they did the legwork, and so will I.
There we go.
Like that.
There you go.
That just
committed to the craft.
Yeah, no. So
no pun intended there, man.
Yeah, you see what I did there? See what I did there? Look, that's why we locked in, bro.
So for the record, the best, and I didn't try all of them. I tried the ones that were available at my local grocery store, and also I was specifically, to make it a fair apples to apples comparison, noodles to noodles, if you will. I was only trying the brands that are just cook the pasta and then like squeeze in the packet, not the ones where you cook the pasta and you add like milk and powder and a bunch of stuff, because those are extra steps that I usually prefer to avoid. So there were only about 7 different brands that I had access to that fit that description. But of those 7, for the record,
give it to us.
The best one is I believe it is a Kroger store brand specific thing. They've got this kind of sub brand that's not labeled Kroger. It's called Private Selection, which I was very like, oh, we're pretending we're very fancy. Oh, the Private Selection of mac and cheese. So I was not expecting it to be good. I was like, this is pretentious as fuck. This is
gonna be 1999. That was a good year.
But no, actually, legitimately great. Much better than most of them.
Wow.
Second place, Cracker Barrel, a pretty good one.
If you're the CB.
A pretty good one if you don't have access to that store brand, which I think it's Kroger specific. I'm not totally sure, but if you have a local Kroger, you want some mac and cheese, and you want the minimum amount of effort, don't get Velveeta, don't get Kraft. Don't get the Kroger store brand. That's the one that betrayed me. No,
their name brand is trash.
Look for Private Selection, and they have a bunch of different flavors too, because they're fancy lads, right? So they've got your basic, your like 5 cheese Wisconsin mac and cheese is kind of the normal one, but they've got a one with poblano peppers in it. They've got a
Fancy,
bacon
fancy.
ranch one. They've got a Gouda one. If you really like smoked Gouda,
I guarantee you, there's a sriracha one, isn't there? I feel it.
There's like a buffalo one. It's
There
probably
it
the
is.
closest to that. Yeah.
A little spice.
A little
Yeah.
something, a little flavor.
Yeah.
I love that, Tom. But in a world where Twitter
Private
has turned
selection.
into
I need to look that up.
Private selection mac and cheese sounds fire, bro. I feel like you gotta have a little thing of whiskey with it.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
A fine vintage.
Yeah.
Like, well, Tom, in a world where Twitter has turned into X and it's all trash content and just bad news, the world needs Macaroni Mondays back.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe a new journey will begin on Blue Sky one of these Mondays.
Tom, you're not the hero that we need, but you're the one that we deserve. Well, Tom, before we close this bad boy out, let the people know how they can support you, what you got going on, where they can find you, all your social medias and all that fun stuff.
Sure. So my main one, I guess, for just like personal updates or announcements of things that are going on, role announcements for anime, for those who are interested, is my Blue Sky. My Blue Sky is at tomlaflin.studio. And tomlaflin.studio, also my personal website. And I have recently also started doing the occasional stream on Twitch, which is just twitch.tv/Tom Laflin, no spaces or underscores or anything. Literally, I started doing it after years of not, because Tom Laflin was previously taken by someone else. And then I checked randomly and it wasn't. And I was like, give me that shit. Give me that now while it's free. And so I finally got it.
Yanks.
So there's that also.
Snatchies.
I do also have a YouTube. I don't really use it very much other than for posting my my character reel every year, my visual reel of stuff from the past year. So if you want to watch those are up there.
I've watched them. They're good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love that.
So I think that's about everything. Is there anything else that I would choose to plug? I feel like from those you can kind of spiral out and see all my other interests. I'm going to be starting streaming a tabletop game project soon, probably next month. And so I'm sure I'll be announcing that on my Blue Sky, and so yeah, if you're following me there and you're interested, consider giving it a watch. If you like that kind of it's not Dungeons and Dragons, but it's in that sphere of online play.
Got it. Basements and Beasts.
Yes.
But we will definitely put all of that in the episode description below so you can support Tom and all the amazing things that he has going on. And my good brother Trav, I love to always give you the last word for some wisdom if you have any.
I was just thinking, life's gonna knock you down, bring you down to your knees. Just make sure that you get back up, and there's always that one faithful comfort food, mac and cheese.
Hey.
Okay, yeah, I was like, he's gonna rhyme that with cheese. Or like, this is gonna be a poem.
Well, lifers, we call you guys the lifers because you quite literally put the L into D before L, and we know that we can't grow this spirit bomb without you. So lend us your energy by way of likes, subscribes, 5 to 7 star reviews if that's possible, follows on social medias, YouTube, and all that Jupiter Jazz parts 1 and 2. And the easiest way to do that is by clicking the all-powerful link tree of might in the episode description below, where you can find all of Tom's things and how you can support him as well, and how you can also support our sister Star Wars podcast, Annie, Are You Okay? A Star Wars podcast. And like we always say here in the Kame house that Toriyama built, whether you watch it or you read it, we all need it. So open up your nerd eye, and we will see you next time on Dragon Ball for Life. Dodon Ray. Bow. Shout outs to super producer Mikey and Dragon Paul GT.
We love you, Mikey. And shout outs to y'all, all caps. And
I see the rest.
And
Later, nerds.